Are you tired of people telling you that you need to calm down? Well, there's a really good reason for that. When we tell someone to calm down, what we're doing is we're taking a person in a stress state. There are various levels of that, right? Like capital T trauma, lower T trauma, cortisol flowing, fight or flight, worked up. There's a lot of versions of it, but some version of it. And we're saying, hey, you don't have a ton of thinking power right now, problem solving power, but I would like you anyway to just let it all go and be calm. So usually when you tell someone to calm down, they immediately get angry or they feel anger inside of them. And so instead, what I want you to consider is thinking about it in terms of emotional regulation. Okay? So regulating your emotions means I can feel an emotion and still control the way that I act. So I think sometimes we think emotional regulation means, oh, I could just like regulate what I'm feeling. And that will ultimately be the byproduct of practicing regulating your emotions. But in the short term, when you don't have a lot of practice at that, what it looks like is having a very strong emotional reaction, but inside being like, ooh, I'm having a very strong emotional reaction right now, but I don't need to scream. I don't need to yell at my husband or my kids. I don't need to stomp my feet. And I want to offer that most of you guys have an extremely good ability to do this, because when you're in public and someone drives you bananas, you just like lock it up and you don't act like a crazy person because people are watching you. Okay? And so you could do that at home more. But if you're talking to your husband and it's an intense conversation, you don't want to tell yourself in your mind, hey, you should just calm down. Instead, I just want you to acknowledge, girl, you are angry right now. You want to punch that guy in the face. You're so mad. You want to run out of this house screaming and slam the door. A lot of us know what that feeling is like. I don't think I've ever left the house and slammed the door. I think I've gotten mad, maybe left the room. And I've done plenty of things, you guys. But I'm just saying, for me personally, I've never like gotten so mad that I was like, I'm going to slam the door and get in the car and drive away. I heard Danielle Bean talk about doing that one time, and it was so comforting to me because she's so great. And all public people, we have an impression about them, but it was so wonderful to know that she's a really good marriage, but sometimes gets bloomin' mad. And I think that was in her book, by the way. Something about Nest. Nest is in the title, and it was about your kids going to college. I'm sorry, I just wanted to share that with you because I love her. So you don't tell yourself to calm down. You go, Sterling, you are feeling so attacked right now. You're feeling so angry. You're feeling huge disappointment. You're feeling hopeless. So just acknowledging to yourself what's happening. And then still saying, but how do we want to react right now? We control how we react. So I'm still like in a high state. And I'm not trying to like talk myself out of it yet. But I'm like, we don't need to raise our voice. We don't need to throw anything. And we teach this to children all the time. But I want you to work on it for yourself. And work on it in many different areas. But I've been really noticing for myself how powerful this is. I just acknowledge that I'm feeling something strong, and I still decide how I want to show up anyway. So I just had this happen recently. I had a painful conversation, and I was going to mass, and I could feel myself do the thing where I just chewed on it and spiraled into darkness and sadness, and I just let it take over me. And my brain just got really dramatic and fatalistic, and everything is terrible and nothing's working. And instead, I was just like, hey, you seem really shaken up right now. That's how I felt. Do you want to do that thing where we go down the rabbit hole? We're in a bad mood for 3 hours. We can do that. Notice I'm just like so loving to myself. I'm never dismissive or shutting her down or telling her what she wants doesn't matter. But I also know that I have these goals of showing up as a wife and a mom and as a saint. And so it was so powerful to just stop the spiral. And I still didn't feel great, but I didn't go lower. And I got back to calm pretty quickly. And it was really, really powerful. And I think a lot of us have a deep desire for control, but we're misfiring it to control the environment and not how we show up. And I think then when we attempt to control how we show up, it's kind of like, quit whining about that, you baby. Instead of being like, hey, you're really angry right now. How do we want to show up when we're really angry? It's a very different question. So I hope that helps you. Let's become an army of Catholic moms who are emotionally regulated. Let's model that for our children. That sounds pretty great to me. Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catholic Mom Mindset. To learn more about growing closer to the Holy Spirit, check out our free resources at madeforgreatness.co. Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day.